Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media.
Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to the Northwest Territories in Canada, to the Mackenzie Mountains. The Mackenzies are a northern aspect of the eastern Canadian Rocky Mountains and are part of a stretch of wilderness called the North Woods. The North Woods is an uninterrupted coniferous forest stretching from Alaska to the Atlantic Ocean. The Mackenzies are made of 4 ranges, including the Ogilvie, Wernicke, Canyon, and Backbone ranges, and are drier than mountains in British Columbia. In these ranges, alpine tundra dominates higher elevations, while subalpine open woodlands dominate the valley bottoms. Plant life here has a broad range and form. They include lichens and sedge grasses, with stunted white spruce and alpine fir, mixed in with willow and dwarf birch trees. Animal life here is abundant and diverse. Visitors may see caribou, Dall's sheep, or moose, depending on how high up the mountain you look. The predators here include black bears, wolves, and grizzly bears. This area is pristine wilderness, and people visiting here may not have a full understanding of the risks they assume while doing so. In the 3rd week of September 2014, 53-year-old Ken Novotny traveled to Norman Wells in the Mackenzies for a moose hunt. He was an avid outdoorsman and regularly traveled here each fall in pursuit of whatever animal Mother Nature may provide for him. He was the managing director for Raymond James Financial in Memphis, Tennessee, and lived in Germantown, a suburb outside of Memphis. A few days into his moose hunt on the 14th of September, Ken's guide, whom we'll call John, helped him locate a good-sized bull moose. The men observed it from a distance before deciding to stalk closer to it and see if they could get within shooting range. After a short stalk, the shadows were beginning to stretch a bit, so Ken and John decided it was now or tomorrow, if they were lucky. Ken leveled his hunting rifle on the bull's massive chest and fired a single shot, bringing the hunt to a humane and satisfying ending. Now I bet I know what you're thinking. How does a person even begin to gut an animal the size of a moose? Well, I've harvested both of my moose available to me here in Idaho. I remember the first moose I shot was a young bull. After the bull fell, I approached him and almost panicked with the feeling of dread. This animal was enormous. It seemed to be the size of a horse and was very difficult to move or get into position to gut, and that was on a flat forest floor. After gutting the moose, I marveled at the basketball-sized heart and liver that was about 30 inches long and weighed approximately 20 pounds or so. My roommate and I ate liver until we were sick of it, and now Ken was dealing with the same rigors of success. As Ken and John fought the moose carcass into position to be gutted, their attention was focused on the task at hand. They planned to gut the moose and pack it out over a series of hikes, and had considered leaving part of its carcass for packing the next day. An easy tip for gutting any animal is to point the rear end downhill, and when the entrails weigh about 300 pounds, any help you can get is welcome. A moose has about 32 pints of blood, compared to 8 to 10 pints in a human. Sending a speeding bullet through a moose's lungs sends out a spray of an unknown portion of blood that aerosolizes into the air. The added scent of blood and other bodily fluids pouring out of its wounds only increases the olfactory bombardment of any nearby predator with a keen sense of smell. As Ken tugged and slashed at the entrails of the moose, the odors of the offal of the animal permeated the area. It didn't help that the stand of trees the moose had collapsed within provided a very limited field of view. Usually when a hunter is dressing a game animal in bear country, his hunting partner should position himself at an elevated vantage point with as clear a view as possible. I could find no source that indicated where John was in relation to Ken and the moose carcass, but the events that unfolded next would have been very difficult to anticipate. With all of Ken's attention on the moose carcass, John saw a huge grizzly bear bolt from the nearby scrub pines. It only had to cover a few yards to reach Ken, having so stealthily crept upon him. John was powerless to react as the bear ran up to Ken. With a single swipe of its massive paw, it sent Ken flying. Before Novotny hit the ground, the bear spun on its heels, as if it was surprised to see people instead of other bears. The grizzly had disappeared into the brush by the time John could make his way to Novotny. The width of the grizzly's paws imparted crushing force over the length of Ken's skull. He had no chance at survival and died instantly from the bear's only paw swipe. John was not hurt by the bear and now had to find a way to contact authorities so they could reclaim Ken's corpse. It isn't clear whether he used a cell phone or a satellite phone, but somehow he reached out to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police about 9:30 p.m. that night. The Mounties rounded up the coroner and wildlife officials, but were prevented from accessing the location due to inclement weather. The following morning, Thursday, September 15th, the investigation into the fatal grizzly mauling of Ken Novotny was initiated. One of the first steps investigators do on fatal bear attacks is to exclude foul play, or the potential of it. Ken's injuries were clearly done by a bear. Foul play was ruled out, and now they knew they had a man-killer on their hands. As Ken's attack site was analyzed and his corpse removed, a search for the grizzly was undertaken. Hunting a grizzly bear is a little like looking for a needle in a needle stack. It's risky, especially when you know the grizzly you are hunting has already killed a man. By Saturday, September 17th, the canvassing turned up an ill-tempered grizzly the investigators considered to be the likely aggressor in Ken's death. They shot the grizzly, and DNA from its carcass was compared to the evidence from Ken's attack site. They killed the grizzly that had taken Ken's life, and removed the potential for it to kill or injure anyone else. The Northwest Territories are home to an estimated population of 4,000 to 5,000 grizzly bears, with most of those living in the Mackenzie and Richardson Mountains. 4 people have been killed in bear attacks there, all since 1998. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I have a few questions for you. Do you think this grizzly was a dinner bell bear, or did it follow its nose to Ken's location? Was the bear surprised when it found people at the moose carcass, or did it know the hunters were there? Why did the bear flee after the fatal swipe on Novotny? How could John have been better prepared for a grizzly bear to appear so suddenly? I will gladly read and reply to your thoughts, so please post them in the comments section below, and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.